UFC 270 took place Saturday in Anaheim, and with two championship bouts atop the card, one challenger came out unsuccessful while another overtook a champion and forced a title change. We'll start with the main event where Ciryl Gane failed in his quest to unify the heavyweight championship with Francis Ngannou, losing a unanimous decision in the main event matchup. Gane started great in this fight, won the first two rounds in my opinion, but he did not have an answer for the grappling and the wrestling of Ngannou, which came as a big shock to everyone watching. It just seemed like that was a hole in Gane's game that was exposed. He had not been taken down in any of his previous UFC fights, but he had a difficult time dealing with the entries and the power of Ngannou in those grappling scenarios, and it cost him this fight. Gane suffers his first career loss in mixed martial arts, and now is going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what makes sense for him in terms of building off this, being able to move forward. I think anyone who watches Ciryl Gane can tell how talented this guy is and what skills he brings to the table, but he definitely needs to round out his game a little bit more, as we saw here, because there's going to be some tricky matchups coming his way, and if he does not have an answer for takedowns, I don't think he's going to be able to get to that title belt nor hold it for too long if he's able to successfully somehow get it around his waist. For me, I think those challenges are going to be coming his way in terms of a test, but it really depends on how the matchups and the future of this heavyweight division shakes out. I think there's two very clear fights if you look at who is booked, who's the rankings, what makes sense at the moment. I think Stipe Miocic is obviously a clear candidate for a potential fight with Gane, but I think Miocic is also going to wait and see what happens with Francis Ngannou going forward. If they cannot get a fight with Jon Jones together, but Francis Ngannou sticks around the UFC, I think that Stipe Miocic will probably wait around and see if he can get that fight with Ngannou for himself. If they end up doing Jones versus Ngannou, I think you look at a fight with Miocic if you're Gane, absolutely. And if not, I think a interesting backup option for that too would be Curtis Blaydes, who of course is one of the most wrestling, grappling prevalent fighters in this division. I think we would test the development of Gane in that fight, see what he can do in terms of crafting his skill set and building off this, and see if he can overcome that hump and show improvement in his game. So no clear definitive matchup you can settle on right now. Some things are going to have to shake out. Gane obviously going to want to go back and take some time to fill the holes in his game and see if he can come back a better fighter against a Miocic or a Blaydes. When it comes to the co-main event, I think it is a lot more simplistic. Brandon Moreno has a short-lived reign as UFC flyweight champion. He gives the belt back to Deiveson Figueiredo in their trilogy bout, losing a unanimous decision in their third fight, and they are now 1-1-1. Of course, they fought to a draw in the first one. Moreno won the belt by submission in the rematch, but then lost it here by unanimous decision in a fight where he was highly competitive, but ultimately did not have the answers he needed to the knockdowns, to the power of Figueiredo, and I think that's why the judges leaned in Figueiredo's favor, and we saw the title change hands here. But business is not finished between these two. They have fought for roughly 100 minutes. I don't think there's a clear-cut superior guy. I think they are very, very close in skill. And I think you need to make some history here by booking a fourth consecutive fight between the same set of fighters. I never really thought we'd see the day where something like this would happen, but here we are in this position. I think if it's going to happen in any division, any place, and any time, these are the right two guys to try to proceed forward with doing a fourth matchup, and hopefully we can get that sometime later this year, because I think it would be highly compelling. The storylines are there, the rivalry is there, and these two are obviously extremely skilled and match up well. So some interesting matchups coming up here on the heels of this event, but Gane and Moreno learned some tough lessons, suffered some hard losses here, but I think they're in good position to get some big opportunities going forward on the heels of UFC 270.